This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, hello, and welcome to another spectacular afternoon here in the African wilderness, where we are starting off with a herd of antelope known as a kudu. So a very warm welcome to the students joining us from Shikla Elementary School. I hear this is your very first time on safari with us, so let me explain how it all works. First of all, my name is Jamie, and this afternoon there is a gentleman called Dave behind the camera. Now, Dave's very shy, so you never get to see his face, unfortunately, unless something goes horribly wrong. Now, what we're doing is we're taking you on a safari from a place called the Sabi Sand in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. Now, what it means is that what we're showing you is actually what's happening right here and right now. It is late afternoon for us here in South Africa. That's because we're a little bit ahead of you in terms of time zones. So you're starting your school day, but we're taking you on a safari into the evening. Now, I want you to sort of, if you can, imagine that you're on the back of the vehicle with us. So it's really hot here in South Africa. It's the dry season, and it is October, so we're going into our summer months, which means that it is over 90 degrees Fahrenheit out here this afternoon, and everything is really dry and dusty. So the wind is blowing, and it smells like dirt and dust, and the animals are starting to struggle just a little bit to find food. But for now, animals like these kudu that feed off leaves of the tree, they're very happy because it's springtime and it means that there's a couple of green leaves around. Right, now that I've explained all of that to you, let me get you a little bit closer. While I do, remember, for our regular viewers, we are dedicating the first 45 minutes to a school this afternoon. Please continue to send through your questions, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or in the comments section on YouTube, and we'll get back to them once these students have gone back to their regular school day. So, this is quite a large antelope, the kudu. It's about the size, give or take, of a red deer. Maybe a little bit taller, and it is very different to a deer. So we often get asked what the difference is between a deer and an antelope. The big difference is, of course, the solid bone horns that antelope have. In a way, the antelope, let me duck out of your way so my head's not in your shot. In a way, antelope basically are like African deer, but there are some differences. One of which is that those horns growing out of that male's head, and he's still young, he's still a little boy, are solid bone, covered by something very similar to your fingernails, just even harder. Now, I hope you're looking closely, I hope you're watching closely, because, he's aggressive, he's chasing the female away. You might even have seen some birds fluttering around, and you're going to see those birds a lot. They are called oxpeckers, and they help to keep the fur of the antelope clean from parasites. Right, there's lots to show you out here. On a hotter day like today, it's a very good idea to head towards a waterhole, and I think that's what Taylor has planned for the afternoon.
Hello everybody, welcome. As Jamie said, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Sebastian, and we are also driving around, except we have gone down to the southern sections of the reserve. So we're going to try and head to a big dam called Chitwa Dam, and well, the weather's just starting to turn, which is making me a little bit sad. I thought we were going to have a very, very hot afternoon because it's been so hot the whole day. We've all been very sweaty. So I thought, well, all the animals are going to want to have a pool party today, and I thought that we'd maybe find some elephants down here, but maybe now that it's a little bit cooler, we might not. Lots of clouds coming in too. It's like we're going to get rain maybe tomorrow, or maybe even tonight, if we're lucky. We need lots of rain. It's so dry out here, as you saw with Jamie, and you can see as we're driving around. It looks like we're in a desert, but we're not. So we'll see if we can find any animals up top here before we get down to the dam. Let's keep looking. Wonderful. No, it's looking very, very quiet. But hopefully it changes when we get to the watering hole. Right, there's one more person you need to meet in the team, and that's Steve, and he's all the way in Kenya.
Good afternoon, boys and girls. Welcome to the Mara Triangle in Kenya. And we are up in the wilderness with a beautiful cheetah by the name of Kenya. Isn't she gorgeous? She's just lying up here in the open, looking for some food, as a cheetah would do. And welcome, my name is Steve. I'm joined on camera by James, and we are out in Kenya in the Mara Triangle, about 4 countries north of South Africa. So very similar sort of area to down south, but also so different. Let's go back to this beautiful cheetah, the fastest land mammal in the world. Can get up to about 70 odd miles an hour. Isn't that incredible? And this is a female. We've been following her for some months, in fact. And this is the area she likes to spend her time. If James pans out just a little bit, you'll see how wide open the place is. There's hardly any trees, very wide open and flat. A perfect track for running. Vinny, you want to know where the name of the park came from? Well, essentially, the Mara River runs through the middle. And so they did, when they demarcated in the 1960s a reserve, they decided to call it the Mara, Masai Mara. The Masai Mara named after the local people, the Masai. And then on this side of the river where we are, we actually form a bit of a triangle with the river, with the border to the south with Tanzania, and then a big mountain range to the western side. So it forms a very skew-looking triangle, but a triangle nonetheless. So that is where the name comes from. And we are blessed to be out underneath the African sun with such a beautiful creature. And she was interested in a warthog a little while ago, and she tried to hunt it, but then decided, well, that warthog is a little bit too big for me and has some very big tusks. So instead she decided to lay back down on the grass and wait for something a little bit smaller and a little less dangerous looking to come about. But isn't she beautiful? You see the spots on the body? The spots are not roses, they are solid spots. I'm sure down south someone might be able to show you a leopard, and then you can see the difference between the spots. Leopards have got sort of rosettes, and cheetah have got spots, and that beautiful black tear mark down the line of the face from the eye past the chin makes it very easy to identify. Hello, Gonzalo. Cheetahs can run up to about 70 miles an hour, 112 kilometers an hour. That is very quick. They can only keep up that speed for about 300-400 yards before getting very tired. Their blood pressure goes up, their breathing goes up to 150 per minute, and then basically they're like a big engine in a car that needs to cool down or they'll overheat. And then after running for that sort of distance, they then sit down and breathe very heavily to catch their breath and cool down so that their brain doesn't explode from all the speed. But she is now in the open where she likes to be, and she's looking very far away to see if there's anything on the horizon she might want to catch. But all the way back down in South Africa, Taylor McCurdy has got one of the magnificent big animals.
We do. We made it all the way to Chitwa Game Reserve, and this is one of the elephants' favorite spots to come and drink water. Also because there's not much water for them to drink anywhere else. So they kind of have to come to this dam, and look there. Look at all the water starting to dry up in that corner. So that's perfect for the elephants. Not only will they come and have a drink, they also get to play in the mud afterwards. How cool is that? I would have loved to have done that as a kid. Well, it's super important on these hot days that elephants cover themselves in mud. It's like if you and I were to put sunscreen on our bodies. I also lathered myself up in that before I went out this afternoon, and the elephants are doing it too. So it helps protect them from the sun. It helps keep their skin all nice and cool. And you're looking at the oxpeckers with Jamie, the birds that like to eat they like to eat blood, but they'll eat the parasites, so the insects that drink the blood of these animals. But the oxpeckers don't like to go on the elephants, so they've got to try other ways to try and get rid of them. So all this mud will suffocate them, and then they'll go and have a nice big scratch, and then the ticks and things like that, they all die, and then they come off. So I think it's very clever. Elephants are very, very clever animals. And it's a little one, though, just enjoying its time at the moment. Next, well, oh, not next, sorry, Nick. You know, droughts are very, very sad, of course, but the animals learn how to deal with it. So these guys are used to the dry season. So here in winter in the Sabi Sand, it goes very dry. So that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing the end of winter. And look at the little one having a little roll around. But they get used to it. It just means that they've got to walk a lot further to try and find food. They can't stay in one area for too long because they'll eat all of it. And then they also need to go looking for nice fresh water. So they have to move around lots and lots. So if you look at in the winter in the Mara, the animals here in the Sabi Sand would be so happy if they could have all the green grass that they still have around. It does go yellow, but there's still so much of it. Look, there's nothing here. Oh my goodness, you are all so spoiled this afternoon. You've got the elephants with me, which we'll try and follow, and now Jamie has got an even better surprise.
I do indeed. I've got a very special surprise for all of you. This is a male leopard, a young male leopard by the name of Hosanna. And Hosanna is a very special leopard to all of us because we've actually watched him grow up from when he was very little. In fact, we were even lucky enough to briefly see him on the day after he was born. How special is that? So we have watched him grow up from tiny, right up until the point that he's at now, which is 2.5 years old, and a very special young male indeed. Now, a young male leopard has a tough time ahead of them because a young male leopards are territorial. In other words, they defend an area. Hello, my boy. He's going to come up right past us. There he goes. They have to defend a territory. I'll tell you a little bit in a moment. We just watch him walk past. I think he might want to go for a drink. Nope, he's had a drink, looking at the water around his chin. Now, leopards are territorial, which means that the males will defend an area of land. Just, you can think of it kind of like your house or your apartment and your garden. And then the females will do that as well. Now, for a young male, he's got to go and find himself a territory. And to do that, he has to compete with other big males out there, which is a tricky thing to have to do. And it can be quite dangerous. Now, at the moment, he is hanging out in his mother's old territory, which means that he's also in his father's territory as well. I can hear squirrels herd him. There's a squirrel going, chirr, 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 chirr. It is behind us, unfortunately. So lots of animals, when they see a predator like a leopard, they will actually start to give off certain sounds to alert other animals and to say to the leopard, we've seen you, stay away from us, don't try and catch us. What's he doing down there? This is very, very exciting. I think he's smelling something down that way. Now, we know that his father was walking around here a few days ago, so that might be what he's smelling over there. Perhaps he's smelling the scent mark, in other words, where urine has been sprayed. So that's one of the ways in which animals will defend their territory, is they'll actually urinate, and the smell of their urine keeps all the other animals away, all the other animals of the same species, because remember, territories only work if you're talking about an animal of the same species. Leopards will fight each other for territory, lions will fight each other for territory, but leopards and lions won't fight over territory, they'll fight over resources or food. Now, I think what I'm going to do is turn around slightly and just go backwards so that we can see him. Noah, you would like to know how fast Hosanna can run. And, excuse me, it's the dust. The answer to that is a leopard is really, really super fast. Now, if Hosanna's running at his absolute fastest, he could cover 22 meters per second. Now, to give you, think about how fast that is. 22 meters. Once we're finished with this, perhaps on your lunch break, go outside and take 22 big steps. Measure it from the start to the finish. What are you doing, you silly boy? And then tell me how, or tell each other how long it takes you to run 22 meters. It's about 60 or so feet, give or take, just a bit more than 60 feet. That is how fast he can run in 1 second. That is crazy. But he's not a long distance runner, so he can't run for long periods of time at that speed. He has to actually stop and take a break and take a rest. He can only do that. He's like a short distance sprinter. Afternoon, yours. If you can give me 2 seconds, I'll get back to you. Brent isn't out this afternoon. Sorry, everyone. Just talking to the other people on this reserve. It's one of the ways in which we share information with each other. So I'm going to tell this gentleman, yours, that there's a leopard here, and I think he probably has something to tell me as well. This leopard's definitely sniffing around. There were lions here earlier today as well, so he might also be smelling lions. And he must be careful where he goes walking, because I've heard that there are lions not far away from where we are as well. Now, a lion is bigger and stronger than a leopard, and I said that they don't fight over territory, but they do fight for competition because they both eat the same food. And so a lion, if it sees a leopard, will try and chase it and catch it. And it's only because a leopard's very agile and good at climbing trees that they are able to escape. And he's now walking straight in the direction of those lions. He's a clever boy, though. He knows that there are lions around. Okay, I'm going to follow this lovely leopard. In the meantime, let's send you over to Steve, who's got an animal that is often confused with one.
Very good. Did Jamie show you the spots of the leopard? You can see the difference. These are like painted on black blotches on the body, where the leopard's got beautiful rosettes. Nice way to see the difference when you can't actually see the whole animal. But we're very fortunate that the beautiful Kenya is sitting out in the open for us, giving herself a little bit of a lick. Chloe, they most certainly do. You want to know if the spots help them to blend in? We call it camouflage, and most certainly the cheetah is very camouflaged. If James just pans out a little bit, come all the way back, James. See if you can keep your eyes on her. Keep your eyes on her. There we go. Look at that. She just blends in with the environment. And so her objective with the spots, okay, thanks James, is to try and sneak as close as possible to animals before launching a very fast sprint. And obviously if she's seen from too far away, well, then she's not going to catch anything. So like the leopard, like the cheetah, they want to get as close as they possibly can. Obviously the cheetah doesn't have to get as close as the leopard does. The cheetah can get to about 50, maybe 70 yards before launching off and trying to catch something. But it seems like Taylor has got more elephants joining the scene. Let's go have a look at all of them.
Look, it's the same herd of elephants we saw earlier. Hello, big girl. It's okay, relax. Look, I can go back for you. It's okay. So this little, she's not a little girl, this is a big elephant cow, just basically said to her she didn't like us sitting there. All the other elephants were fine. They happily moved all the way past us. But because she said no, I decided, right, we'll put my foot on the clutch and let the car just roll back. You don't have to start the car every single time. Sometimes they just want a little bit of room. Sometimes you only need to move a ruler's length away, and then they're happy. And then they're not grumpy anymore. But I think it's because the weather is changing now. The wind is starting to blow quite a bit, and that's going to make them nervous. Miley, you're really lucky. You're joining me right now on my favorite part of my job, and that is sitting with elephants and watching them. And I'm going to quickly move the vehicle because there's some on the road, Seb. There's a little baby that I don't know what it's doing, but I think it could be quite cute. Let's have a look here. Oh, no. Maybe they'll play in the road a little bit further down. We'll see. Now they're stopping to have something to eat. Now, that's not a very tasty tree they're eating at the moment. That's called a guarri tree. And it's got very, very bitter leaves. If you were to eat one, it's like eating a sour grape. You know that face you pull? That's the face that I pull when I eat one of these leaves. But these elephants, they like them. And there's also not a lot else that they can eat at this time. So they have to kind of choose the things that they don't really like. So it's, you know, some of you might like peas more than you like carrots. But today you've got to have the carrots because there's no peas. So that's what's happening with the elephants at the moment. So they're going to try and eat this plant for as long as they can. Because you can see it's the only green thing there. But the little baby doesn't want to eat the leaves though. The little baby wants to just drink milk. But if there were some nice tasty plants around, I bet that it would be happy to eat some fruit. Or maybe some nice fresh grass. But that's going to take a while until we get some rain. But you can see that cow, she keeps watching us. So that's what you call a female cow. Look at the little baby. What are you doing? No, elephants can run really fast, much faster than you and I could ever dream of running. They can run at about 40 kilometers an hour. So even if you were sprinting the fastest, an elephant probably run twice as fast as you could. But they can't keep it up for too long. They're not sprinters. Oh, they're not long distance runners. Luckily, elephants don't have to run away all the time because they're so big, so there aren't too many animals that mess with them. They'll show them. And they're all very excited, especially those little babies, especially that one. That one's been running around. Now it's using mom as a scratching post, which is very cute. Look at that little leg. Well, now it's got another elephant to play with. It's so adorbs. Don't you think, Seb? What's your favorite thing to watch, Seb? Now that one's doing a handstand. Look. And now what its friend's going to do is like, now that you're on the floor, I'm going to try and jump on you. I wish they would come and play a little bit out of the way so from behind mom so we could see nicely. Look how cute they are. See, they're wrestling. Sometimes they even make trumpeting noises when they play with one another like that. But it just goes to show you how lucky we are because they're so relaxed. Now, Jonathan, it depends on genetics that determines how fast tusks will grow. So, do you want to see something? Ooh, look here, Jonathan. Hello, boy. I think this is my friend from the other morning, Seb. Remember, was I with you? We had that elephant come to the car. No, it was Craig, sorry. So, hello, young man. You can see he's got nice big tusks, so he's got very, very good genetics. And that will determine how big those tusks get. So some elephant tusks will grow really quick, some will grow really slow. Some won't even get tusks, can you believe that? Because that's a tooth. That's a modified tooth to use more like a digging tool rather than to grind their food up. And they also use it sometimes like a bit like a not quite an axe, but like a knife. They'll cut into the trees and strip the bark, and then they'll use their trunks to pull it off the tree, and that's what they're eating at the moment now. But I've seen some elephants, but there are not very many of them left anymore. But their tusks touch the ground. Can you believe that? You have to look in your history books to see animals that had big ivory like that. Sadly, most of them have all been poached, so they've all been killed for their tusks, which is very sad. Beautiful sighting though. Yeah, Caden, elephants can push entire trees down. I'm trying to find one that's close by, but all these branches that are broken on these small trees, which is very easy for an elephant to do, they can do that in their sleep. This is from the elephants feeding through the years, but they'll push enormous trees down, and they normally do it at this time of the year too, because some of the big trees you can see, like that big knobthorn at 12 o'clock, Seb, it looks like it's getting new leaves. Now, the elephants are going to want to eat that, but they might not be tall, or they are not tall enough, even if they were to stand on their back legs to reach the top branches. So sometimes you'll see them push them down, so they're clever. And then they can feed on that whole tree while it's on the floor. And then even the kudu, which is a type of antelope, are very happy because they can eat it. The impala can eat it too. So elephants are helpful. Lots of people say that they're very destructive. They can be destructive, but when they're kept in small areas. Is that an elephant playing the flute? Let's see if that sound is made again. Louise is sitting in final control. So that's where the studio is, where the directors are telling us what to do on the show. She said it's a parade. That is so funny. I don't know what was happening. If it was a little elephant sucking on the end of its trunk. Sometimes they make squeaky noises. Wonderful. But it's not just the elephants. As you know, you've had a quick view of Hosana. Let's go back and see what he's doing.
Hosana is currently standing eating grass, which sounds a little bit weird for an animal that is a carnivore, but I think the reason that he's doing that is because Hosana, I think, has a slightly upset tummy. So, you know, when you eat something and you don't feel so great afterwards, maybe your stomach hurts a little bit and you feel a little bit queasy, maybe like you want to throw up. I think that's how Hosana is feeling today. He's panting and there's lots of saliva around his mouth, and I think it's because he doesn't feel so well. Now, animals out here have very, very solid digestive systems. So they can eat most things without feeling too sick. But today, he's obviously eaten something, or perhaps yesterday, that didn't quite agree with him. Now, it might be that he ate a piece of bone or maybe a hoof, and it didn't go down properly. His stomach just couldn't quite digest it, and now he doesn't feel so well. So that's why he's currently hiding with his bottom sticking out of the bushes, and we can't see his face. There we go, now he's coming out. Oh, shame he doesn't look so well. He definitely is panting. It is hot. I did tell you it's very, very warm this afternoon. But I don't think it's just that. I think he is feeling under the weather. Now, Robert, you want to know how far Hosana can smell. Now, most animals out here, in fact, I would almost say almost all animals out here, have a much, much better sense of smell than we do as human beings. And Hosana is no exception. So depending on which way the wind is blowing, he could probably smell a piece of meat or a kill at a distance of around about a mile or so, if the wind is blowing that smell in the right direction. But it's not just about how far he can smell, remember. It's about how far back in time he can smell. Does that sound silly? Let me explain what I mean. So let's say Hosana's just come past the waterhole. Now, if we were to come past the waterhole, if your sense of smell is really, really good, you might be able to smell, I think there was a buffalo here. I can smell a little bit of a cow smell. Or maybe I think there was an elephant here. I can smell the grass. But Hosanna, now he can smell that there was an elephant 3 hours ago and an antelope 2 hours ago. So he's got a very sensitive sense of smell, because all of us, ourselves included, leave chemicals or trails behind us. So it helps him to figure out who is where and what is going on. Now, he might be all alone at the waterhole, and he might be feeling a little bit lonely. Luckily, that's not a problem that elephants have.
What? What did they say? I don't know why we've got such bad comms on Twitter today. Do you think it's the weather? Probably the weather.
Okay.
I don't know. These elephants have made me thirsty.
Sorry about that, everyone. It seems as though Taylor has disappeared off your screen. Now, just give me a few minutes. I just need to chat to some of the other guides about what is happening here. Tax, keep coming, keep coming. I'll make space for you. No stress, I'll come back a little bit later. Okay, everyone, we're going to enjoy our last few minutes with lovely Hosanna, because we're going to make space for other people here. So out here, people come on holiday to see these lovely animals, and when they come out on holiday, then they want to see them, obviously. But we don't want the animals to feel uncomfortable with lots of vehicles around, so we restrict the number of cars that can come and drive around them. Now, right now, there's actually 3 of us here, but there is someone else who would really like to see Hosanna. So what we're going to do is we're going to move away from him, and then we are going to make space, and we can come back a little bit later. That's okay, because I want to show you some lions as well. Because along with Steve's cheetah, that means we will have seen each and every single big cat that you could see out here. Speaking of Steve and his cheetah, off you go.
Good luck in your lion search, Jamie. We are still with Kekenya. She hasn't moved. She is looking off into the distance to see if there's anything small that she would like to catch. But there is some rain brewing. We can smell it. We can see it. It's coming up from behind there. It seems like it's still quite far away. So for now, I think we're safe. But the storms out here can really come very quickly. And out of nowhere, you can suddenly find yourself getting very wet. But that is what happens this time of year. We're expecting some rains. Kenya is going to get a second sort of rainfall period coming up now called the short rains. And that is what enables the grass that you see around Kenya there to get nice and green. And it is what brings enormous amounts of animals around. We don't see too many animals where we are right now because there's a cheetah. But all over the landscape there are thousands of animals at the moment, busy doing their thing, eating the grass. Lots of them are eating grass. Well, when that's all there really is to eat, I suppose that's what you do, don't you? Very typical sort of cat behavior, that, isn't it? Busy licking her paw. Might start rubbing the face. Oh, no. Hello, Mark. You want to know what the mark underneath her eye is? Well, in American football and in certain sports, you see people put a little bit of black sort of paint just underneath their eye, and it helps to absorb light. Cheetah... Oh, sorry, Dylan. Sorry, Dylan, you wanted to know about the mark under the eye. Well, the black paint that we put under our eyes helps us to absorb light and helps it to be a little bit easier to see in the daytime. And cheetah are, by their nature, they are active in the daytime. So those lines there, they believe, help with certain types of light sort of control. The tear mark on the cheetah, they call it. But also, when a cheetah is not happy, that mark can actually change into a certain sort of pattern that's very, very obvious to another cheetah. When they're not happy, it changes into a sort of a half-moon shape. And when they're not happy with each other, facial expressions are everything in the cheetah world. But it seems like Taylor's elephants are having a wonderful time at Chitwa Watering Hole, playing with the water.
Hello everybody. Look at this elephant right here next to us. What are you doing? I don't know if maybe he's being reprimanded by that adult, that cow there. Just the way she was behaving, and then that little one went very submissive. Hello big girl, you don't like us at all. Not even a little bit, hey. You don't want us to be here anymore. She just, I don't know. Well, I do know why she's changed her attitude all of a sudden. Like I said, with all this wind that's around at the moment, it's making it very difficult to hear what's going on. And I think this is the matriarch, so I think this is the leader of the herd. Hey, big girl. She's moving off now, settling down. She's just making sure we're not going to get up to no good. You can hear all that wind now. It's getting worse. Oh, bless you, elephant. That elephant think got something up its nose, up its trunk. Didn't like that so much. Is that another one of the older cows in the group just walking past us? And then look at this one here, just eating right in front of the car. It's eating a plant called, what is it eating? Maybe Bushman's grape? Very tasty. And then here comes that bull. Oh, another one. No, it is the same bull that came up and said hello. He might come and say hello again. You never know. He's just walking slowly, keeping up with the herd. Now, Joya, there's very different ways to tell if an animal is a boy or a girl. For example, with an elephant, you can see he's got a very round head, whereas a female elephant has got a very square, sort of sharp head. And then you can also look for the bits that make a boy and a girl a girl. That's probably the easiest way. But your teacher is welcome to go through that with you, but I feel like you guys are old enough and you should know. Wonderful. Let's carry on. We're going to move away from these elephants now. They're going into the bushes. And go see what else we can find. Wow, Jamie's having an amazing day. She's finding all the cats. She's now got lions.
I am indeed having quite the day, and would you look at this, a pride of lions lying up in the shade after they spent the entire morning running rings around us and avoiding all efforts to be found. We knew they were here somewhere, we just couldn't find them. Well, here they are, out in the open in the perfect position, and I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lions in front of me. I think that's as many as I can see. Oh, big yawn. Have you had a tiring day? Now, apparently, these lions were busy trying to catch themselves some lunch about an hour ago. Apparently, they were chasing some buffalo, but because it was hot and they were tired, they didn't really try as hard as they might have otherwise. I thought that was a scratch, but it's not a scratch, it's a leaf. I thought that poor lioness had a nasty cut on her back, but it's a leaf. Oh, another big yawn. Oh, Zane, that is a very good question, but it's a question with quite a tricky answer. Now, Zane's wondering how many animals or predators can live in the park at any one time. Now that really depends on the size of an area, obviously. Now here where we are, it's 4 million hectares. That is around about the size of some of the largest states in the USA. Some of the states in the USA, I should say. Now, in a big area like this, you can have lots of predators, but that's because there's lots of vegetation around, there's good rainfall, and what that means is that there's more for the herbivores to eat, so there can be more herbivores, and if there can be lots of herbivores, that means there can be more predators, because if there were not many herbivores, then the predators wouldn't be able to catch enough food to survive. Now, out here, there are about the same number of predators as you would find where Steve is in the Masai Mara. And that's because even though in Steve's case there's a bit more rain in the Mara and therefore a lot of grass, it's a very different type of ecosystem, there's only lots and lots of food during 4 or 5 months of the year when the Great Migration is there. Whereas here in South Africa, the amount of the amount of food stays the same. That's quite sweet. That's my favorite thing about lions, is just how affectionate they are with each other. Oh, sometimes they fight, sometimes they scratch and they growl, but most of the time they're actually quite gentle with each other, and you can see if they ever get lost or separated from the rest of their pride, then they get very, very nervous. Now people, especially from watching The Lion King, tend to think of lion prides as having males in them, but the truth is that a lion pride is actually only females and young males that are the sons of the females. Now, the big males with the big manes around their neck, and Alexis, I'll get your question in a second about that, they actually live separately to the prides. Sometimes they come and visit them, and sometimes they spend time with them, but they're not actually part of the pride. Now, on the subject of males, Alexis wants to know why males have big manes, or males do, and why they have tufts of black fur at the end of their tails. Now, a mane is basically for display purposes. A mane makes the males look big and scary, especially when it's dark, and it's shown through research that females actually prefer male lions with a nice big mane. It also can help to protect their throat and their face when they fight, because male lions can fight really seriously and sometimes even kill each other. So the mane helps to protect them a little bit, but mostly it's to show excuse me, how big and healthy and scary they are. The black tip at the end of the tail, now that's a different story. Remember that lions can't talk to each other. Not like we talk to each other. But they can make sounds, and they also communicate through movement. So, kind of like if you frown at your friend when you cross, or maybe you're trying to tell them to be quiet because the teacher's watching them, or whatever it happens to be, you can signal when you don't want to talk. Now, lions do the same thing with their tails. Sometimes they wave their tails from side to side when they're angry. Sometimes they keep it absolutely still when they're looking at something. And that, combined with the black on the back of their ears, makes it very easy to see. So black is a color that makes something easy to see. It also makes it easier for the cubs to follow the females when the grass is long or the vegetation is dense. So those are all reasons why they have that dark tuft of fur. Now, Zoe, you want to know how many cubs a lioness can have. Typically, it's around about 3 or 4 cubs. Between 2 and 4 is about the average out here. But if you have a look at the... Sorry, just listening to the radio. If you look at the belly of that lioness, you will see that she has 1, 2, 3, 4 nipples. So that's obviously where she feeds her cubs after she's given birth. And so it's only really comfortable when she has about 4 of them to feed. If she has more cubs than that, and she can, sometimes lionesses have been known to have 6 cubs at a time, it means that the cubs have to compete for food, and they really sometimes struggle to do so. So it's between 2 and 4 cubs. And it's very difficult for a lioness to raise cubs successfully to adulthood. She's got to hope that all of the circumstances align perfectly. Well, this has been really very, very special. Thank you so much to the students joining us. Unfortunately for now, your safari is over and you have to go about your school day. But that's okay. Enjoy your day. I'm sure we will see you on safari soon, and I hope you enjoyed all we have to show you. For the rest of you, off you pop back to Kenya to have a look at the lovely lady cheetah.
Why, thank you very much and welcome back, everybody. I hope you're all having a wonderful afternoon. We're very blessed to be with Kenya. What a beautiful, beautiful animal she is. But at the moment, she stalked forward and is on top of a termite mound and spotted some Tommy gazelles. But what's very interesting, James, in front of me at 12 o'clock, there is a beautiful bird. I have not seen one in some time. In front of me, just on the ground, there's a very big bird. Punch in there. I'll show you exactly where it is. A little bit more left. More. Past that bush, quite far away. Quite far. There we go. The white thing in the top of the screen. A bit more up left. There we go. Top of the screen. Punch in there, James. White thing. See that moving there? Look at that. We've got a Cory bustard. I think it's a Cory bustard. I have not seen one of them in ages. The heaviest flying bird in the world. Kenya's been having a look going, ooh, I wouldn't mind myself a little bit of Cory bustard. Afrikaans is a kompo, because of the noise that they make. They make this loud kompo kind of noise, which I can't clearly do very well. I'll try and get it for you on the phone. Enormous birds. Look at the size of the neck. And they are regarded as pretty endangered across southern Africa. I don't know what their status is up here, but it's the first one I've seen. Get up to 15, 16 kilograms. And they're still able to fly. I think the heaviest recorded one is about 19. I'm not sure exactly how many stones it had eaten. But like an ostrich, it walks through the landscape, feeding on all sorts of things. Mainly vegetarian, but will feed on a few insects. A lot of corn. Not known to be much of a rodent catcher. Fantastic. I wonder when last all of you saw a Cory bustard. Have you seen one before, James? First one for James. Fantastic. New bird for the list. Well, we're staying on the Cory bustard for a little bit because Kenya's still perched on her mound. She's not doing too much at the moment. But nice to see the Cory bustard moving through the landscape. They're like open plains, just like this, because they've got quite a heavy body and a large wingspan. So to be able to evade predators, they need to be able to do a bit of a running jump start. They can't just take off into the sky. Well, we're going to stay here with our Cory bustard and our cheetah, and in the meantime, Taylor's elephants are moving off into the distance.
And back you are with us. Welcome to the, I don't know what, the SafariLive show. We're just sitting here. No, we're just literally on the main road at the moment because our elephants have, just the regular show. Welcome to the regular show, everyone. But there's a whole lot of elephants in Torchwood at the moment. But I thought it was quite a cool view, don't you think? We're sitting right on the opposite side of the drainage line. And I thought it was a good opportunity to show you how dry everything is. But within that dryness, you start to see the little bits of green that are sort of sprouting out at the moment. It's a bit difficult because the light is really horrible at the moment. Really bad. It's overcast and cloudy. There's wind. There might be even a bit of dust. But there are some knob thorns, the balanites trees, the maruda trees. And they're all starting to get their green leaves now, which is exciting. So in the next couple of weeks, the ground might be yellow, but the greens will be the tops will be green. Of course, I'm not even shocked that I swapped those two around. That's why I should just not even try to be funny. Classic Taylor, hey? I think that should be a phrase. Tailored again. I must be one of the most awkward human beings in the world. But anyways, not human beings, either beings. Just in case. Emma's basically, she's just like, yep, here's a spade. Keep digging. So anyways, we're not going to go into Tortured because we don't have great signal on this side of the drainage line. And it seems like all the animals are on Vuyatela anyway. So I think we'll mosey on back to Juma and see where Jamie left Hosanna. And hopefully we'll be able to get into Hosanna sighting because, well, I'm going to try to spend as much time with him. He's a funny cat. Shall we get going, Sebastian? Let us get going. It's very dusty up here. Oh, goodness. And I have this song in my head, which is really, really annoying, and I can't get rid of it. I've posted it on one of our groups, Favorite and Final Control. I hope you watch it and also get that song stuck in your head. It's really annoying. But anyways, I don't even know what it's called. I don't think it has a name. I did share it on Facebook today, though. It's a video. It's so hilarious. Well, I'll carry on singing that song in my head, as I probably will for the rest of the day, and also take the piece of bark out of my eye. Let's go to...
Well, thank you very much. Kenya has climbed down from her very small termite mound and is walking directly towards where that Corey bustard was. There are a couple of Thompson's gazelles scattered around the landscape there, but it wouldn't surprise me if she tried to catch a Corey bustard. It'd be interesting indeed to see. I'd be a bit saddened at the fact that the first Corey bustard I've seen in about 2 years got caught, but that's what happens in nature. Don't forget, everybody, this is a live interactive game drive safari coming to you right on your computer or phone, wherever you are. Please send through your questions on #SafariLive or drop them on the YouTube chat stream. Remember the all-important @FC. Keep your questions relevant. So she's definitely hungry. I mean, I think she might have fed a little bit, but by the movement she's had today, there's the Thompson gazelle, completely not flustered by her. Going to go from termite mound to termite mound, getting a nice little view. She didn't do very well before. When she went to the last termite mound, she made herself very visible. Oh, Bridget, my absolute pleasure. We quite enjoy being out here ourselves, don't we, James? Yeah. Well, we thought she was going to hunt, but so we've moved a distance away to kind of give space so we can be able to get it all in shot. But she's, I don't know, maybe she is, maybe she isn't. Maybe she can't help herself. When we were with her at the beginning, she spent quite a bit of time watching a small group of hyena moving off into the distance. And I think once they got out of sight of her, then she decided it was time to start moving. And there are still some Thompson's gazelles around. Quite vigilant, though. And interesting how she can just disappear when she wants to, even on top of a termite mound. Oh, very good. Well, wow, I don't know if you saw that, but a huge lightning bolt in front of us. Well, let's go back over to Jamie, and I'd like to ask her a question. How many times did she see Corey bustards up here?
I am sitting still with the lovely Pride of Lions, hoping against hope. Well, not really against hope. I'm just hoping in general that it is in fact the Nkuhumas, because that would largely complete the animals that I've been dying to see since I got back. I've seen Thandi, I haven't seen Tlalamba, I haven't seen Tingana, but I have seen Hosanna, and I have seen the hyena den. I'm hoping that this is the Nkuhumas. I assume it is, but assumptions are always a little dangerous. And what did I say? I could count 8. Did I say I could count 8? So we could be missing a couple. But that doesn't mean they're not here. It might just mean that they went to lie somewhere different. Oh, angry squirrels. Making such a fuss in the distance. We've had to move around and shuffle around slightly. It's quite a tricky area for viewing these lions, and there are other vehicles around. Remember this morning that we were all desperately trying to search for these lions, so obviously now that they've been found this afternoon, there is great excitement. I think that this is probably where we're going to spend our afternoon, unless something else changes. It's difficult to decide. I mean, Hosanna is right here. I must have driven maybe 70 meters before we bumped into these lions. We did know that they were somewhere around here. So he could pop up at any point in time. He could even come and see what these squirrels are alarm calling at. And I did say I was going to go to the hyena den. But there's only one of me, and there's 3 different exciting things happening. We'll have to see what Taylor's plan is for the rest of her afternoon as well. But these lions are hungry. They were hunting the buffalo last night. Oh, good, okay. I'm happy to hear that. And there is a suggestion that a tea is on her way back to come and help out, because there's just too many things to keep us occupied. Besides, it is her last few afternoon drives. Rosalind, you want to know how many babies that lions can have at any one point in time, and I'm feeling a curious sense of deja vu. The answer to that is sort of on average between 2 to 4. They have 4 nipples, as we were able to show the class a little bit earlier, but they can have more than 4. So it's not unheard of for a lioness to have 6 cubs, but it is unusual. And of course, they have a very, very high mortality rate. So it is unusual for them to manage to raise all their cubs to adulthood. Makes me think of the Olololo pride, which has gone from 4 to 16 in the course of the year and a half that I spent in the Mara. 4 females had 13 cubs between them. Now, at the moment, the Kuhuma Pride should consist of 5 adult lionesses and 6 sub-adults, as far as I know, including 1 young male. I think it's them, but I'm really not 100% certain. And without being able to see their faces, I'm not sure that it would be possible for me to tell. I think there's a good chance that the lion dynamics might be constantly in flux. Okay. As the wind starts to blow, a cold front making its way in, and the branch is about to fling back that I pulled back into the tree, let's go join Steve and the lovely Kikenya in the not so early morning.
Thanks, Jamie. Yes, well, we are still with this beautiful cheetah, and she is eyeing out some Thompson's gazelle and even some Grant's gazelle, I think, that are walking across in front of her there. Yeah, some Grant's gazelle. But there is a huge storm building up in the south-southwest there, in the direction she's looking at. There you can see some Grant's gazelle. They lack that lateral black line, very straight horns, male and female, and almost got like an impala bottom with that little M sign there. Much bigger than the Thompsons, getting up to almost 50-odd kilograms, so 100-odd pounds, equivalent in weight to her, in fact. It'd be quite a good meal for her. But as with all the gazelles, very fleet-footed. Cheetah have been one of their primary predators for many, many years. So the gazelle and the cheetah are on that sort of arms race, precipice, constantly moving against each other. Elsie, hello. We've been with her all afternoon. Yes, I've had 2 cheetah sightings since I've been in the Mara. It's been pretty quiet for cheetah, but we're in an area where the Kikenya is quite commonly found. But due to the enormous amounts of animals moving through, lots of wildebeest, I don't think that cheetah have been too sort of enjoying themselves in the area. Apparently maybe moving down into sort of Tanzania, where there's been some more burning down there. Thompson's gazelle numbers may be moving further south. and also the presence of much more larger prey or predators in the area, lion and hyena, possibly leading to them moving, also making it probably a little bit harder to find. Abundance of prey on the landscape, and vultures. But isn't she gorgeous, sitting there perched, perfect for the video, as if she knows it. And the coloration of the ground and the background is just so lovely. Rosalind, all animals are intelligent. They all just have different degrees of instinct, which is generally what plays a part in what they do. And instinct, for example, cheetah won't chase an animal, will only chase an animal if it runs away. So the same animal, if it didn't run, will not be attacked. So that is an instinctive thing, that cats will just chase something that runs. And if the animal decides to stand their ground, we had a show earlier with a warthog that stood its ground, well, cheetah aren't going to chase it. So if that's intelligence or instinct, it's hard to really draw the line between, but that's why they say in the bush, don't ever run. I think all cats have got an element of intelligence to them. There's so much instinct that drives them on to do what they do, help them to survive in this landscape. It's always a touchy topic when we talk about intelligence. Joshua, I don't know actually what the resting heart rate of a cheetah is, but I do know that when they build up their speed and they chase an animal, they can really overheat. And once they catch an animal, it takes them a fair amount of time to cool down before they even start eating. Big nostrils to pull air in, to cool down the blood, cool down and slow down the heart rate. But what their resting heart rate is, I have absolutely no idea. If anybody out there knows what a cheetah's resting heart rate might be, please pop it on the YouTube chat stream or hashtag SafariLive. I wonder if you can hear the thunder in the background. There's a really big storm brewing. We're hoping the wind is going to stay in our favor, because if James just pans out there, you'll see there is an enormous front coming from the escarpment down towards the southwest. And we might catch a lightning strike there coming through, and we've seen a few already. To capture them, camera is always really cool. Okay, well, we're going to stay here with Kenya, and we're going to try to stay dry. And in the meantime, it seems like Jamie's lions are getting nice and snuggly.
Good luck, Steve. We know exactly what those Mara storms are like, so we hope that you manage to make it unscathed. And we're still with the lovely pride of lions. I don't want to necessarily call them the Nkuhumas if they're not, but they're not flat. Dave and I were just discussing this a moment earlier while you were with Steve. They are... Is that comfortable? They're awake. And they're definitely showing signs of not moving, but thinking about moving. We've definitely been with sleepier lions, and I strongly suspect that they're going to try and hunt, especially if this... So I mentioned that there's a cold front blowing in, and it's due to rain, apparently, either tonight or tomorrow morning, which is something that we're all eagerly anticipating, because the bush could certainly use some rain. Probably won't be a solid downpour, probably won't fill up the water holes, but it's better than nothing, and it'll help to just refresh the vegetation. But as the front comes in, it means that the wind has picked up substantially. This is quite... I've found when I'm on foot at this time of year, while with this sort of wind, the amount of noise from the dried leaves, the dried grass, the dried sticks blowing together, rubbing against each other, it tends to make you quite jumpy. You're very aware of all that's going on around you, and the lions could easily use that to their advantage. The buffalo should still be around here somewhere. I think there's a good chance they're going to try again before the afternoon is over. Yes, I know, I agree. Emma's just telling me that everyone is very happy to see some healthy lions. Of course, when we got back, when Brent and myself got back, the 2 lions in the area were the 2 Mangeni males, who unfortunately have a very, very serious case of mange. They're not looking very well at the moment at all. So it's nice to see some healthy, happy lions. Nkuhumas, of course, have been through mange in the past. They've had mange in the past, and all of them pretty much managed to kick it. Now, I think it was Taylor's favourite, Floppy Ear, or Delilah as she was known. I think it was Floppy Ear that had the worst of it. But that was years ago now. It always sounds so weird when I say years ago, but it really was. It must have been about 2 years ago. I'm hoping this is Nkuhumas. We'll have to wait until we actually see their faces, and it'll be a test to see whether or not I can still recognize them. This is good, I'm glad. So the ladies in final control are also agreeing that it is most likely the Nkuhumas. The other big question is whether or not there is an additional young male with them, because apparently they've been joined by a young male as well, outside of their pride, whose identity remains something of a mystery. For now, our lions are going to doze and recover from their strenuous activity of chasing buffalo. Kekenya has other ideas on her mind, and she's up and about.
Yes, well, she is on the move. She's not being very stealthy about it. Those grass gazelles in the distance are moving away from her. I mean, for all we know, she might just be moving further and further away from the hyena that are somewhere behind us in the distance. She might just be trying to get distance from that before trying to do any catching of any prey. There you can easily see the bottoms of the grass gazelle. They don't seem to have noticed her, though. Let's have a look on the left. Oh, what's she doing? Now she's showing interest in someone. Cheetah will often select an individual that's just a little bit away from the herd, try and pick them off. They say that they don't necessarily go for weakened animals. They'll just go for one that's looking unsuspecting on the side. There we go. Hun 150 to 170 the resting heart rate of a cheetah. Well, thank you very much, Carol. There she goes. I'm going to stay right here, see what we can see. She's doing a little bit of a gallop. That's what they do. A gallop in the trot. And only once they've selected a prey item will they launch into top speed mode. You can only carry that for over 300 meters. Now, why don't we invite some people on board, Emma? I think she might have missed her chance, though. Going to move up in the meantime. Okay, well, let's just move up a little bit further. You stay well behind. We've got a beautiful camera and beautiful lens to be able to witness this animal doing whatever it is that she's doing. You probably saw in the shot there a little while ago, a herd of Thompson's gazelle kind of moved across her there. But then she seemed to just stop. Now, I can see some wildebeest in the distance that seem to also have spotted her. I'm just going to stop over here, see if we can get her into our view again. Over there somewhere. Hopefully we haven't lost her. Binoculars, the #1 guiding tool. I think she's behind that other bush, James. I'm going to go further up here. I think we've put ourselves in a bad position. Little 2-track running through the middle here makes it a little bit easier. I think these people up here can actually see her. Hello, Madeleine. Male cheetah can be about 10 kilograms or so bigger or heavier, a little bit more robust than the female. They're quite similar though in their sort of shape. The male's a little bit more robust than the female. But the all-to go-to with cheetah really is to look underneath the tail. You'll see the genitals on the male, and well, the female hopefully will be missing. If you don't see them together, it's hard to really picture the distance or the size difference between a male and female. But if you see them together, it is noticeable. Females being a little bit more slender and delicate. I've lost her. She's in there somewhere. Oh, there she is. There's two tall trees here, James. She's in between them. One on the left. There she goes, walking off to the left. All the best are staring in her direction. Oh, she's eyeing out those Grant's gazelles that are now well and truly aware of her, and see if she decides to pursue. I don't think she's really got it in her today. She hasn't really done too much. She had a bit of a gallop and a trot there, didn't she? Conserving energy. When the groups are in a herd like that, it's a bit harder to catch. She really wants to select one off or find one that's away from the group. That's a little bit easier to catch. That's how they do it. Their favourite food source up here, well, their preferred being Thompson's gazelle, about 60% of the diet normally. And ideally she'd like to get as close as she can, being undetected. But she's not done a very good job, to be honest. Walking straight towards them, they're watching her. And she's probably going to go slump down in that bush there. Just off to the left of screen is a Thompson's gazelle looking at her. There you go, you can see him. That very characteristic wagging of the tail. It's not uncommon for the Thompson's gazelles to actually walk toward the cheetah and snort. It's kind of a bit of a tricky business if you ask me. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near a cheetah if I was their favourite food. And the group of them in the top left of the picture. But she's just ambling. Not too much in it at the moment. A nice little stroll. Nice afternoon walk for Kenya. Off she goes. Praka, Mama, you said something about their noses. I didn't quite get that question, Emma. Sorry. Something about the lungs. Sorry, James. Sorry, James. I started there without calling you out of the shot. My mistake. Okay. Yes, I think they do have enlarged sinuses. They've got quite big nostrils when you think about it. And I don't know if they're like superly big compared to other cats, but certainly are quite big. They similar in that to that of a lot of the antelope species that also have quite large nostrils to enable them to breathe really well, to bring in the oxygen. But yeah, I don't really know too much about how much bigger they are than other cats, but just those nostrils do seem to look a little bit bigger than that of lions and leopards. But really on a scale of things, I don't know if there's too much in it, really. I mean, their lighter body and their weaker body makes it, enables them to be able to move a lot faster. And obviously they need to get that oxygen in so as to be able to produce the energy that they need for the chases. But anyway, the lions down in the Djuma are still busy playing with Jamie.
Well, I don't know if I would describe them as playing around us. We might do some playing around them in a little bit. In fact, I might do that right now, honestly. Since there's nobody coming, as far as I can tell, I think we have them all to ourselves. It means I can actually move into a slightly better position. Let's see if we can get a head count at least. Whoa. There we go. Sidle on up. And then I'll just move out if there's another vehicle on their way. Hello, ladies. And gentlemen, potentially. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's definitely only 8 lions here. Okay. That doesn't mean there aren't more that maybe couldn't find a spot in the puddle in the shade. There could be some lying further in the drainage line itself. So the position that we're in, for our viewers that perhaps don't know this area very well, we're to the north of Vuyatela Lodge. And in fact, the guests were watching them hunt buffalo from their rooms this afternoon. These lions were calling on the Djuma Dam camera this morning, and we couldn't find them. It is ridiculous. I'm kicking myself. It was one of those strange mornings where just nothing quite went our way. They must have been hiding right there. So this is a dried up riverbed, and essentially when it rains heavily, this will flow down into the Vuyatela Dam, which is behind me to the south. Well, it's very seldom that this will actually flow, but years and years worth of water has cut a deep trench into the ground, and it's the perfect place for the lions to come and hide. It's nice and cool, but it's wide enough for there to still be a breeze. There you can see the steep bank off to the right. Now that's where they are at the moment, in a drainage line that feeds into the dam itself. Take Care, yes, I imagine that that is the case. Take Care would like to know if, when lions are flat like this, if their heart rate will drop significantly. And yes, I imagine that that is just in the same way with humans. Your resting heart rate versus your walking heart rate versus your running heart rate will be different. There will be a slight difference to the way in which the animal's or the lion's body reacts to sudden bursts of energy. As human beings, we need to stay fit in order to keep up our muscle tone and in order to sort of enable our body to be ready for bursts of speed or agility or endurance of any kind. Where big cats are concerned, they're designed slightly differently. You might think of them as having iron-hard muscles, that if you were to go and stroke their flanks or something, you'd feel rock-hard, solid muscles. They've got muscles, but they're actually quite soft. And it's not because they lack definition or they're unfit. It's just that they are structured in a completely different way to you or I. So while it's possible to have an out-of-shape lion in captivity, particularly when it's been overfed, in the wild, even if you were to put the lions in a boma or an enclosure for a couple of months, they wouldn't lose condition to the point that they would be unable to hunt. Here's a beautiful foot. Gives you a really nice opportunity to see what the track might look like if they were to step in some sand. It's always nice to view the bottom of an animal's foot. It helps with tracking immensely. The temperature has dropped significantly out here at Djuma. I'm really hoping it doesn't rain right now because I don't have any rain covers. Taylor is taking all precautions and has already wrapped up snugly.
Son, I'm cold now. Well, not freezing cold, but definitely cooler than when I started. I mean, I'd lathered myself up with sunscreen. Don't you, you know, I always find that I end up meeting people at the most awkward moments. I just put sunscreen everywhere, all on my legs, on my arms, my face. So I really was lathered up in sunscreen. I hadn't even like rubbed the last bit in yet. And then we had these wonderful guests or viewers come through to meet us. And anyways, it was so awkward because they insisted on shaking my hand, even though I said, I've got sunscreen on my hands. It's always so weird. Does anyone else find that weird? Oh, buffalo. I do. I find it particularly weird. So like after you've washed your hands and then you haven't dried them properly, it's also weird. So no one else in Final Control thinks that's weird? Cool. We're going to have a look at buffalo. Sorry, Wendy's going to have to visit the mechanic tomorrow. I think so you all know there's an issue that hasn't been repaired just yet. I think we're still waiting for parts, but I can feel my brakes are going now, which is no good. So we're going to drive around just up here. I might have to go via camp. It's leaked out a whole lot since the beginning of game drive, which is not good at all. So I might have to pop back to camp to get a few things. Another jacket, because it was so hot this afternoon when I left. And then also, but before we do, I'm going to show you some buffalo. They're just around the corner. Excuse me, kudu. And then also to grab the brake fluid. Dot 4 is going to have to come out with me. Just keep topping it up as we drive along, but we'll survive without brakes. It just means no chasing after wild dogs, or no brake, or no stopping. Yeah, I mean, it could go either way. Oh, it will go that way, no stopping. Okay, it's not a particularly massive herd. Try and get a good view now as we drive into them, because we're higher up, so I can see. Oh, thank goodness, they all spread out quite a bit. Okay, I think we'll go. Oh, sorry, Seb, I haven't got brakes now. I think we'll quickly go down into Philemon's Dip, and then we'll see them nicely. They're up on the road. Well, there's a couple that are up on the road. I promise they're here. Emma's like, oh, we're tired of listening to you now, Taylor. Now I'm going to do the old switch the car off and use my gears as brakes. But there we go. They're the buffalo. I promised that we were going to see them. They were just a little bit... And they weren't actually far away from us. It was just because the road... Oh my goodness. Well, these buffalo are very exciting. However, Kenya is on the go.
Yes, she hasn't stopped moving. And the Thompson's gazelle are parting in the way, every direction that they go. They keep coming and sort of looking at her, and the zebra aren't obviously too concerned, although they know it's a predator. And will keep a very watchful eye. But she doesn't seem too concerned. There's been a few Tommies that have been isolated, and she has just passed them by. Anyway, who knows what will happen this afternoon. You can spend a lot of time with these cats. They don't have to hunt. I think instinctively they just do from time to time. If an easy meal presents itself, well, they can't help themselves. What's the zebra think of her as they move away? There we go. There's another Thompson gazelle moving across. That would be an easy one. See, it's isolated. It's on its own. Maybe she's just trying to conserve some energy, get some distance. Maybe she had something small to eat earlier today. Michelle runs zebra run. They're not too bothered by her. There are reports of 3 or 4 males in the past bringing down a zebra, but a cheetah, there's no chance. Of a single female cheetah or even a single male, I don't think there's much of a chance. Zebras are just way too big for them. Zebra can get up to 600 odd pounds, and a cheetah, well, on its own, 100, maybe a bit more, 120 for the males. Very, very big animal. And the reason cheetah also select much smaller prey, not just the ease at which they can catch them or the strength, it's also they don't want to lose so much of the food. If you kill a bigger animal, well, you're going to lose it to predators, as we've seen Hosana with Nyala and young Tumba with a kudu. It didn't go very far because he lost it. But we're going to see if we can move up a little bit more. She is very far away now. We're on the end of our zoom. Good afternoon. The ranger coming to say hello there. Thankfully he didn't chat to us while we were live. But she's disappearing in amongst some wildebeest. Try and get around. A little bit bumpy. Hold on, folks. And we saw those 2 males the other day chasing the wildebeest, but I don't think she would try. Maybe one of the youngsters, but I think Mum would be a little bit too irate. But anyway, an animal that would love to eat some of the wildebeest in the plains is with Jamie Patterson.
We are still with our lions, and I've been debating what to do with this time, whether to leave them and come back or stay with them. And I'm going to stay with them because they're not fully flat. They are awake and not completely asleep. Oh, shame that one's got a nasty scratch round its cheek. Nothing too serious though. That's a youngster. I'm going to stay with them because at any point they could get up and move, and if they move here, I'm the only person watching them. There's no other vehicles with me. If they move here, they're gone into this really dense vegetation. And we won't be able to follow them unless they move back towards the dam. I assume what they're waiting for is for animals to come through for their afternoon drink. But I'm definitely not going anywhere. Gary, it would be interesting to do a study into this. I would say that the immediate answer is that lions in a pride don't show preference as to who they go or which lion they go and lie next to. So they don't necessarily have favorites or perhaps prefer the company of, say, their mother over their aunt. I imagine that when they go and they lie down, it is pretty much random. Lion prides are very close, very, very close. And it doesn't matter whether you are talking about sisters or... They're giving us such a perfect demonstration at this exact moment. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about sisters, daughters, or aunts. They're all related to each other, and they seem to love each other all equally. There's none of this family feuding that humans can be so good at, nor do they have favorites or friends in the way that hyenas do, or perhaps certain primates do. They just love all members of their pride, pretty much. When new males come in, as in new territorial males, they tend to treat them with a degree of reservation. They don't particularly like them. But once pride males become established in an area, they also do start to show affection towards those males as well. Oh, hello, wind. No, these conditions are such that we're just not going anywhere. Howling wind like this is perfect hunting weather, and these youngsters look hungry to me. If they were hunting buffalo in the middle of the day, it means they're hungry. And all of last night. But they've formed such a lovely puddle in front of us. Oof. Josh, it's a difficult question, that. Josh wants to know which animal I missed the most from Djuma when I went to the Masai Mara. Shall I be really lame and say the crazy animals of our crew? No, I won't say that. I missed seeing white rhino. We never saw them in the Mara, but I know you're talking about specific individuals, and I'm being careful about how I answer it because an immediate answer is not jumping to my mind. I like Hosanna. I'm incredibly fond of him. I really, really like Tundi, but I don't think I necessarily missed one animal more than the other. And it was also, remember that we're not that separated from them. While we're in the Mara, we're getting constant updates. We all communicate with each other. We're all friends with each other. So we're getting constant updates. We're seeing your screenshots that you share from every drive. So we're not completely removed from the goings-on. So I've watched from afar as the Nkuhuma lioness has recovered from her injury. And I've watched the goings-on with the leopards. And I've watched Tlalamba grow up from a distance. So it's not that we're completely removed from it. And there's also a whole other set of animals that we got to know on a slightly deeper level. It took us some time in the Mara because we didn't have the same base. We hadn't established ourselves there. We didn't have the same history that we do here. I still miss Karula. I was actually driving past a termite mound earlier today and thinking I had seen her in the past there. I still miss Karula. I wouldn't have minded seeing the Birmingham boys, actually. But I think the chances of that are now slim. But that's how it goes out here. Times change. Where's that green pigeon? I can see them, but I don't think Dave can. I can hear them calling. They're the Tarzan birds. They make a call similar to Tarzan in old movies. Oh, Dave, I don't think you can see them. They're straight between those two big trees and behind them. So, if you really wanted to play around with struggling there, they're in there. That's it. You've got the right tree. now not even I can see them. Sorry. Random tangent. Well done, Dave. Well, no. That doesn't look like a green pigeon. It looks like some sort of cuckoo. Stop. Dave, don't you want to just go and move that branch quickly? No, I think it is a green pigeon. Well played. It is a green pigeon. Just that barring on the underneath the tail caught me out. Well done, Dave. Also known in Afrikaans as a papegaai, Dave, which I think is a lovely name. One of those very descriptive names, a parrot dove, because of its bright green colours. Oh, Chris, I'm so sorry that was your new bird for you to add to your bird list, and it was such an appalling view of one. I can only hope that they decide to come a little bit closer so that you can see them properly, because they're actually beautiful. African green pigeons. Well, as you can see, we are now grasping at desperate straws here, such as African green pigeons hidden behind 5 trees. Let's go and see what Kekenya's up to.
I love the call of the African green pigeon. Well, Kenya, we're still with her, trying to keep up with her from a distance without getting involved, and Thompson's gazelle are parting in front of her. She had another little trot at one stage to try. Well, we didn't really see what she looked at, but it wasn't any success. She didn't have a launching attack, just a little bit of a trot. And all that did was scare the life out of all the animals on the open plains, who've now scattered in every direction. She's looking for something easy. She's probably looking for a youngster. There are a few Thompson's gazelle babies around. I haven't seen one in the last little while, but there's a recorded 100% success rate when cheetahs try and catch foals. There we go. Let's watch it. What's she going for? I can't see it. She's looking to the side as well. What's she going to go for, folks? Let's see. There's some Thompson's gazelles running. Well, there was a Grant's gazelle running. She's just trotting along, covering good distance like that. But what has she spotted? Is she going to launch? I have no idea. There we go. Starting to pick up speed. Still hasn't quite put it into 5th gear yet. And there we go. She's just slowed down again. So I think just the little ridge that's over there, she's frightened a few animals, and I think she's hoping, there we go, you see, they're going to come across the side of the ridge like that. I think that's what she anticipated, trying to cut them off. But I think they're just a little bit too far away from her now. Pity that she stopped moving. She might have been successful. Apex, it's about certainty. If they feel that they got a good chance, they're going to really give a go. But if they're not successful after giving a proper run, well, then they've got to rest for half an hour to cool down before they're able to actually do it again. So if she's not certain, that's why that trot, just to kind of select a prey, and then once they've selected exactly what they want, then they launch themselves. Okay, James, let's see if we can catch up with her. She's far away. I can't even see her with my naked eye. I'm going to come back, James, before I start. Thank you, sir. Let's see if we can go up there. It's fun following cheetah. Absolutely love it. The ranger's parks himself up there as well, so maybe it's going to give us a cut-off point of where to move to. And ideally, the area is still nice and open. Maybe we'll be lucky this afternoon. How nice would that be? Not so lucky for the Grant's or Thompson's gazelle though, I suppose. me. A little bit of a bump. Bob, yes, we are off-road. We've been off-road for most of the afternoon. It's just about, you know, the question of to what extent. And, you know, the ranger's here, he's watching everybody very closely, so we're trying not to step over any lines. So he's come and stopped at this 2-track, so we'll do that as well and try and capture her in our sights. Somewhere in front of us there. The problem when you allow them to get so far away is trying to then catch up with them again. Thompson's gazelle is looking to the right. Scanning. There she is. She's at 1 o'clock, James. 1 o'clock, moving away from us. A little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Next to that brown bush. Yeah, straight. There we go. How well camouflaged she is on the landscape. There's a lapwing who's not very happy with her. Might dive bomb. There we go. Not very happy. Spurring lapwing, I think it was. Might have been a crowned lapwing. Hard to tell from this distance. But the perfect landscape for a cheetah, is it not? Those of you who've seen cheetah down in Djuma, you'll see the difference with regards to the vegetation. That's why they don't do so well down there, although cheetah do all right up here. The competition is still very, very high. A number of their kills are stolen by larger predators. Even the arrival of vultures at a kill can cause cheetah to move off, due to the fact that often hyena and lion will... Oh, what? She's sitting. Okay, there we go. Park your bottom. She's been walking for a while. It's time to have a bit of a rest. Looking for some other unsuspecting prey. Quite a nice view. Olololo range in the background with the nicely wooded slopes. Gives way to much more open landscape here at the bottom, with a very sort of similar sized tree all throughout the landscape. Okay, well, while we try and see what she's going to find out for the afternoon, let's go back on to Jamie and the Unkuhuma Pride.
I've no doubt that Kenya is going to find herself her next meal. She has proved to be a formidable huntress. Another phrase that we overuse spectacularly. Become very aware of some of our catchphrases. I think mine, when I first started, was "that being said." And the word "so." That being said and "so." And "incredible," of course. James used to keep a tally of how many times we said the word "incredible" during TV shows. I won, or lost, depending upon which way you look at it. I'm surprised he didn't hit me over the head with a thesaurus. Anyway, our lions are still up. Emma says that he's almost back and I mustn't talk too soon. Oh, there's something for you all to look forward to. Just by the by. So the lions are licking their paws and yawning, typically a sign that they're going to get up. Oh. No, they're hungry. These are hungry kitty cats. Not starved, but definitely could use a meal. Here we go, talking about preferences with where they lie down. No preference shown here, just coming up to say hello to everyone else. Possibly lie on top of them. Oh, I'm going to stand on you. There we go. My safari? No, I've been looking for the wounded lioness. I don't see her. Doesn't mean that she isn't in the pile at the back. Little ones? I don't think that's going to work terribly well. I think they're just settling in for a grooming session and old habits die hard there. They're definitely not going to find any milk. They are far too big for the lioness to be producing milk. They're just settling in, they're hungry, and they're going to go acting on instinct. They're still young enough to remember that once upon a time that was where food came from. Hey guys, not anymore. Are you going to have to catch yourselves your food? I'm sorry, I should be able to tell you straight away that whether or not this is the Nkuhumas. I'm pretty certain it is, but I'm not 100% certain. I haven't seen them in so long. Minamu, have studies ever been conducted into lioness fertility issues? Yes, I imagine that they have. I confess, I can't tell you that I've ever read any. I have, however, read studies on contracepted lions and the impact that it has on their interaction with the rest of the pride, and I've actually witnessed it firsthand. Now, in some areas, not in this area, obviously, in certain areas, a lot of South Africa is privately owned reserves. So it is definitely the Nkuhumas. I just saw the one with the slightly cloudy eye. I just caught her out of the corner of my eye. In some areas, there are closed reserves. Now, the privately owned reserves are essential for conservation because they cover an enormous amount of area, but they're small and they are closed off, they're fenced. What that means is that the animals inside those reserves have to be managed because lions can increase at a massive rate in terms of their population. If that happens, then they can end up decimating the amount of prey, that one scratching her tummy, the amount of prey available. So, end point of a somewhat long saga was that there were several studies done on contraception and how animals could be contracepted. So this one particular lioness was given a type of contraception, was a hormonal contraception, and although she still came into a false estrus and she still mated with the males, she obviously never fell pregnant. Now, for whatever reason, it seemed as though she became more and more isolated from the rest of the pride until eventually she moved off entirely on her own. Shame these youngsters are hungry. And I don't know if it was because they realized something wasn't quite right with her, or she did, or perhaps she went in search of other males. Perhaps she thought it was a problem with the males. Either way, she moved off on her own and she disappeared for a while. The contraceptives then wore off, and she did fall pregnant. She had a litter of cubs, but she never rejoined her original pride. So the whole process of cubs being born and cubs being raised is an important part of the social dynamics of a pride like this. It is crucial to the way that they interact with each other. And of course, prides are guardians of a bloodline, essentially, or of genetics. And pride can go on for centuries, potentially, if it's not been interfered with or if it doesn't run into bad luck. Oh, shame. You guys are looking like you could really use a meal. I've no idea where they've been. I've been out of it, unfortunately. So I don't know where they've been hiding or what they've been up to. Right, now one thing that these lions are going to be on the lookout for is a nice large meal. Perhaps something similar to the one that Taylor's found.
I think this is exactly what they're looking for, and I'm really excited because the weather's kind of turning out to be quite perfect for a lion-buffalo hunt. Well, just the lions hunting the buffalo. Although sometimes the buffalo turn the tables. Actually, not sometimes. It happens every so often, and particularly in the Mara. I always say to you, I saw more lions being chased by buffalo than I saw lions actually hunting buffalo. Whereas in the Sabi Sand, with these smaller herds that come through, because we don't get the big, not 2 or 3,000. You'll see that, more likely in Kenya or in Zambia. But here, down south, you can see herds of between 500 and 800. That's a common size herd. And then sometimes at the watering holes, it extends into, just over 1,000. And of course, one measly pride of lions really can't do much to a herd of that many buffalo. But these smaller groups that have got, 50 or 60 of them moving through, there's better chances of, you know, an older bull or a sick buffalo that's maybe lingering towards the end will get separated from the rest of the herd. And then the lions might, the rest of the buffalo might not come in and chase them off. But they're very jittery, they're very jumpy, they're not impressed with us whatsoever. We even had like this one cow, when we went back to camp. She basically mock charged us, and then she turned around and she bucked, and she was like a bucking bronco basically for about 2 seconds, and then they all moved off into the tree line as we snuck on past. But anyways, I don't blame them. The wind is really gusting quite a bit now, but it's actually turned out to be an absolutely beautiful afternoon. It's very, very pretty here. It's actually a photographer's dream at the moment. Backlit buffalo. And with there being so many, well, not an enormous amount, but a decent sized herd, there's also quite a bit of dust that's being kicked up as they move through the grass, which is lovely. As you can see, all the little ones are now at Mom's side, making sure they don't get too far away. It'd be a mistake to go wandering today. It always just amazes me that even when the wind blows like this, the flies are still around. They're so persistent. You can see them flicking their ears, their tails are swishing. Every now and then they lift their heads up and shake them. You're very cute, little buffalo, with your straight horns. Franklins are going crazy, but they're just doing their afternoon call. Actually, I don't know where Jamie is. That's probably something I should know, but I don't. I have absolutely no idea where Jamie is, because I've been trying to get into the Hosanna sighting, but there's been quite a few people. So I'm just waiting for everyone to go kind of get through it and then give us a chance. Oh, so Jamie's quite far north of where we are. So these buffalo are moving south now, southwest. As the crow flies, it's not particularly far, and the lions would be able to walk here very quickly, especially if they've already started grooming. The question is the buffalo scent going to be blowing down towards the Nkuhumas that will encourage them to come this way? So we obviously want the lions to have a meal. Sorry, buffalo, but one of you are going to have to sacrifice yourselves for the lions. But there are some lions, if the Mangeni boys do pop around again, they're going to need a meal, if they're even allowed to feed with the Nkuhumas. Anyways, off you go to another hungry cat.
James. Thanks, Taylor. Glad your brake fluid is all sorted. She finally stopped, and we've been watching her sitting down. And now, of course, as soon as the link came, she decided to get up again. And here she's moving. Let's go a little bit further back for James. There we go. Open it all up. And, well, the wind is really coming in from the direction she's headed now. I've read and found out that cheetah apparently do not at all use the wind for hunting. Mainly sight. And in the distance there is another herd of Thompson's gazelle that she's kind of looped around, I suppose. Allowed them to get sort of complacent again, and you can't really see them at the moment. We'll stay with her, and then maybe she's going to do something now that, you know, the wind is maybe masking any approach that she might make. It's coming very strongly from the direction of the Thompson's gazelle. I'm not sure if she's going to try and have a go at them though. What is she doing? A little bit of a pose there, yoga stretch before moving on, I suppose. Such beautiful scenes here in the Mara, to be able to spend time with the cheetah walking through these open areas. Safari Aussie, she does need a cheetah steak. Look at those elephants sitting on the horizon. Now just below the elephant, dwarfed in comparison, are the Thompson's gazelle that she is slowly making her way towards. They are littered around the landscape below that elephant to the right. You can kind of see them now. I don't know if they've spotted her. She's not making any real attempt to keep low. She's zigzagging around, smelling as she goes. I wonder what she's looking for. Almost seems like there's some other purpose on her mind this afternoon now. Ooh, and then you suddenly see the body language change. Has she spotted a youngster? That would turn the tables for her. A very characteristic body language of a predator that's interested in something. She's going to sit down and contemplate it for a moment, as it appears that Thompson's gazelle on the top of the picture have definitely spotted her. You need to be a little bit more stealthy than that, my dear. Nice side profile. Okay, well, as Kenya starts moving on, if anything happens, you'll come right back to us, but let's go back down to McCurdy with her buffalo.
Yep, we decided to hang around with the buffalo just for a wee bit longer, but we're not going to stay here for too much longer as they keep moving further and further away into that thicket. Oh, that buffalo did not like that oxpecker one little bit. Must be a bit of a nuisance every now and then, especially when you're just trying to eat and you have an oxpecker dangling off of your nostrils. I mean, if the buffalo wanted a piercing, I'm sure it would have gone and got a nose ring, you know. But the way that those, and they do this, the oxpeckers, those nails are probably quite sharp. If any of you have ever had birds or ever had a bird sitting on you, and I'm not talking about an eagle, but you know, just a normal old bird, those claws are typically quite sharp. So can you imagine that in a buffalo's nostril trying to hold on? Oh, couldn't feel very nice. Or even in their ears, be a bit scratchy. Unless you had an itch, then it could work in your favor. But I don't think that happens all the time. Just every now and then, though, you'll see these buffalo. Some of them will get a fright and then they'll all start running. Not for very long. When I say run, they take a couple of steps. Quicker than a walking pace. But they're gathering up. They're hanging on to one another quite tight. Not leaving anybody behind. Nola, yes, buffalo do chew the cud. They are ruminants. So that's what you see them doing most of the time. Buffalo, I mean, they're bulk grazers, so they're on the go all day long. There's not much for them to eat at the moment, and every now and then at this time of the year, watch them eating a lot of leaves, which tends to upset the stomach. Obviously, not specialists at digesting leaves, but they eat what's around them. But there we go. Most of them are grazing at the moment. I'm trying to see if I can actually see anyone that's ruminating. Maybe that one. That's hiding behind the branches. Yeah, that one looks like it's ruminating. With all the oxpeckers. See, that's what happens. When you're not moving around and eating, you become a sitting duck. All the oxpeckers will sit and keep warm. And Paula, I'm going to take a gamble and say that a buffalo probably has to eat about between 30 and 50 kilograms of grass matter. I'm sure it's a whole lot less in the winter months just because there isn't that much around for them to sort of eat. So, whoop, oh, you got the oxpecker. There they go. Oh, cool, you can actually hear them. Look how they've all flown off the buffalo now. Sure, there must be like 30 oxpeckers. Not all of those ones there, but there's so many of them. They've all left the buffalo. They're now all really struggling to fly. And they do look like butterflies. Seb says they look like butterflies. It's almost like they caught a thermal there. They got taken quite high up. But they're desperately trying to fly north, but it's taking them a whole lot longer than they anticipated. They're zigzagging now, trying to avoid the wind. See, some have been blown all the way down the other end. Shame. I don't think we'll be seeing too many birds flying around. Seb, that might actually explain why we saw so many raptors roosting in the trees already. They obviously know that there's a storm coming. So when we started the drive, just before drive started this afternoon, we drove down Weaver's Nest and we saw a tawny eagle. We saw a Wahlberg's, and there was a battlier and a vulture just sitting in trees, and I thought, sure, this is one serious coincidence. But we looked around, we couldn't see drag marks, and I think they just knew that there was a storm coming in. Obviously, maybe 5 minutes later, the weather changed. And I suppose these animals are so much more in tune with the environment and when things are going to, well, I suppose when the weather systems are going to change, when there's a storm and thing coming in. Because nobody wants to be flying around in that weather. Can you imagine a vulture caught in a storm in the air? Will get electrocuted, especially if you have any of the big thunderstorms that we have in this area. Oof, listen to that wind though. At the moment the wind will be the only thing that's competing with my voice. Gary, I've never experienced a tornado ever in South Africa, but there have been a few small ones every now and then, actually like in the Gauteng region, so that's one of our provinces. So like the Johannesburg area, just outside, actually near the airport, the OR Tambo, the big international airport that we have in Johannesburg. And there's been a couple that have gone through there. Not anywhere that you would experience, say, in the States. We don't get massive tornadoes that do serious damage like that, but there are some smaller ones that pop up every now and then. I'm not sure, I suppose it's fairly easy for a building to collapse on a person, so I'm sure there've sadly been a few fatalities with them, but again, not in the numbers when you guys get big tornadoes coming through. We can't compete with that. We're very lucky. We get the odd hailstorm out here. Hailstorms can be quite bad actually in the low veld that come with those massive thunderstorms. You know, sometimes the hail is bigger than the size of a golf ball, and then a lot of lightning too. But even with rain, and it floods every now and then, but it's kind of not extreme. Well, the only extreme weather pattern we get here is the droughts that hit us. This area seems to be very susceptible and sort of to droughts, so it's crazy. It's always dry. Lovely buffalo though. Well, Nkuhumas have been grooming for quite some time now. Perhaps they were just teasing us, or are they going to get up and follow these buffalo?
They are going to get up. I promise you they're going to get up. It's just a question of when they're going to get up. Speaking of extreme weather, we of course had Dineo about 2 years ago. The great cyclone that was going to flood the area. And of course it ended up being we slightly overestimated the power of Dineo here in the Sabi Sand. We were filling sandbags and doing all sorts of things. Anyway, what brought it to mind was Viam, who of course has recently departed, not this earth, but Wild Earth, and he spent a little bit of time with us recently. Viam was the master, or is the master of the one-liner and funny moments out here. And at the beginning, as it started to rain, he came running out of his room going, "Women and children first, women and children first." Of course, there was a little bit of wind that blew over one chair, and that was that. And some rain. I think it was when the Mulwati flowed. Sorry, I'm just listening to the radio for a second. I just wanted to hear if anyone wanted to come and join me. It doesn't seem as though they do, which is great. Means that we get the lines all to ourselves and the best possible view. Liz, I forgot about that. It went completely out of my head. I got distracted by the thought of Viam. Liz is wondering about why the sub-adults were suckling, and is it a comfort mechanism? I think so. I think it's a combination of comfort and the fact that they're actually quite hungry. And that combination just resulted in some sort of reversion back to childhood or cubhood behavior, trying to suckle from the female. I think it's more a comfort thing than it is anything else. Just in the same way that adult cats, when they're comfortable and they're lying perhaps on a bed or perhaps on your lap, and they start to move their paws out in the same way that they would have done when they were suckling from their mothers. I guess it's something similar. That comfort mechanism. So I think that's what it was. It's interesting that they just chose to do so. I think it's safe to say that there are only 8 lions here. Apparently the Nkuhumas did split up a couple of days ago, or were split up a couple of days ago. So perhaps they're feeling a little unsettled after the disappearance, as far as they know, of 3 of the members of their pride. That doesn't mean that the 3 lions have disappeared for good. They will reunite with the rest of the pride at some point. This is not the first time we've seen the Nkuhumas have to scatter. They always manage to find each other. But perhaps it's that, I don't know. Perhaps it's hunger. Or perhaps they're just feeling really comfortable with each other and enjoying spending time with each other, and it's manifested itself in that behavior. I've seen it before with sub-adults. Aussie Bunny, a lion's fur is relatively coarse unless you were to have the opportunity to feel around the fur of its ears or underneath its legs, sort of around the armpit region. It is pretty coarse, it's pretty rough. It has to keep ticks and all sorts of things and thorns away from their skin as they race through the bushes trying to catch their prey. So it is quite thick, it is quite coarse, as are their tongues, obviously. Their tongues are like sandpaper. They're also phenomenally smelly when you get up close to them. I've had a few situations where I've been with anesthetized lions, whether we've moved them or whatever we've had to do, whether we've been treating them for something. So I've had a fair few opportunities to feel a lion's fur and to smell them at close range. Their saliva is also, their halitosis is extreme. Not their fault, obviously. I mean, they survive out here in the wild. There's no dental plans. But when you do handle them in the wild, you've got to be quite careful and try and avoid contact with saliva and with the rotting stuff that finds itself in between their claw sheaths. And they can be quite smelly, even though they do clean themselves regularly, as they are now, and groom themselves. It's only when you get right up close that you realize the residue. Oh, get that leaf. When I first drove in here, I saw those leaves dotted on them, and I thought they'd all been gored by the buffalo, because they looked just like injuries. Obviously, as soon as I got in and settled down, I could see that they were leaves. They're taunting us, Dave. They've been restless the entire afternoon, and they are hungry. They're taunting us. Now we've gone back to sleep again. Ruby in the sun, quite soon, if I am not mistaken. Oof, now you've got to test my familiarity with when these cubs were born. 2016, in the middle of the year. So the sub-adults must be 2 years old now. Older than, some of the older cubs must be older than 2 years old. So, yeah, mid-2016, that would be right, because they were doing so well during the dry season, catching, it was that dry year, catching buffalo pretty much every single day, which means that the lionesses will be ready to mate quite soon, in the next few months. Possibly even now. Sometimes females go into estrus sooner than expected. But at around about when the sub-adults are 2.5 years old, the lionesses will probably start to mate again. They will not necessarily be successful with their initial matings. So it's usually at around about 3 years, a 3-year gap between birthing intervals. We live in hope. We sit patiently because patience is always rewarded. Steve has been patient as well. Let's go and see how Kekenya's doing.
Well, Nkuhumas start grooming normally means they're almost going to get up and mobile. And as we watch Kekenya heading directly south towards the brewing thunderstorm, steadily south towards Tanzania. Hopefully she doesn't go that far, but due to the light we are going to leave her now to her wanderings, give her whatever opportunity she needs to hunt and to catch and to move and to evade predators, as the IR light is on and the sun has set in the west. Nice scenes to end off our afternoon with Kekenya. Hopefully we will spend some more time with her in the near future. But just a final shot before we leave her, James, if you wouldn't mind, those zebra and elephant on the side there. Ooh, there's a Thompson's gazelle. A beautiful little silhouette magic jungle is that she is a magical leopard. She is a magical cheetah, and it's been wonderful spending the afternoon with her. We've been with her since about 12 o'clock or so, and she hasn't done too much. She has been interested in a couple of animals. We did a little stint with her and a warthog, but well, the warthog turned out to be a little bit more than she could bit off a bit more than she could chew. And the zebra are standing there in their defiance in the afternoon. Fading light behind. They watch her disappearing over the edge. And that's it. Well done. Thanks, James. What a nice afternoon with a beautiful cheetah. I haven't spent time with a cheetah like this in a very, very long time. Oh, she's running. As we decide to pan off her, she decides to run and stand on the end of the cliff there. So let's go have one last look as she disappears down onto the other side. She's suddenly got a little bit of jump in her step. As I looked at her with my binoculars, she ran down a ditch onto the other side, and I don't think it's much of a downhill on the other side there. Sinak, I'll show you a picture, but the Tommies have got that very nice sort of black stripe on the side of the body together with the white and tan. Oh, that is the bump. She went down. Oh, there she goes. I thought she'd seen something. Whereas the Grant's gazelle, they completely lack that that black patch. I'm sorry, James, I've put you in a horrible position. There's nothing really to be seen here. I'm just going to show a quick picture of the Grant's gazelle. Oopsie, let me find it for you in the book. Gazelle, page 170. Very good. Okay, so here is the Grant's gazelle. Once we have finished looking at the elephants. Busy feeding on vegetation in the rocks. See now, here's the Grant's gazelle. Very pale, and the belly stripe goes from white to tan, and there's no black at all on the belly there, and very characteristic black stripe on the bottom. And the male and female have both got very long horns. And if I turn over the page, I think the Thompson's gazelle is 2 pages up. No, there's lots of gazelles in this book. Dorcas gazelle, lots of animals I've never seen. And there's the Thompson's gazelle. You see in the top picture here, got that very dark stripe along the side, and they're about half the size. They're much smaller. Much smaller in size, and noticeably on the landscape you can actually see how much smaller they are, and that black stripe stands out quite well. Okay, well, very good. Thank you very much for that, James. Thanks, Kenya, for your afternoon, and we're going to turn around and head on back away from this very crazy looking storm that for the moment we've managed to avoid, thankfully. As we lose sight of a beautiful cheetah into the darkness, I'm sure Taylor McCurdy will be on the search for predators this afternoon, and I think she might already have had some luck.
So excited right now. Can you hear it in my voice? No, I'm joking. I was being sarcastic, but I am really excited because it's Hosanna, who Jamie had earlier on in the game drive, who is just sitting there flat in the grass and panting quite heavily at the moment. And he's a very clever cat because he's gone down into that drainage line to keep out of the wind. There he goes. I think he might go and have a drink of water. Hi, big boy. Man, this is a cool cat. I can't tell you how incredible it is. I mean, it's one thing, and I love that you all get to see this every day, but like actually spending time and being just, you know, a few feet from this cat and watching him from when he was just 6 months old, it's honestly unbelievable to see how he's grown and how well he's done. And he hasn't had an easy life. He's been lucky. He's had a whole lot of luck, that's for sure. He's now gobbling down on some grass. You have a bit of a hairball that you need to get rid of? Maybe. But I think that's a bit selfish, Osada, because that's the only green grass that I've seen on the whole of the Sabi Sands and the buffalo, or the impala, would enjoy that more. So leave some for them. You eat the yellow stuff. Yeah, he's salivating quite a bit. I'm only teasing, of course. But it is quite funny that he's managed to find green grass and the buffalo we were watching had no idea. Yeah, something is obviously maybe not agreeing with him right now. So hopefully he gobbles enough of that down to induce a bit of, I suppose, vomiting. There's no other way to put it. Exactly, Lisa, exactly. It does mean bellyache. That must be very unpleasant. But it's pretty cool that they know what to do, to how to sort of help relieve the problem. Which is quite cool. Can you imagine having first-time guests, though, and taking them on a safari and then telling them that they're hunters, and then trying to get them to believe it after after he stands here and grazes for 20 minutes. No, most people believe us, but you know, you always get the odd one that thinks we're all telling stories. Why don't you go have a big drink of water now as well? That might help too. I mean, he's not as round as he normally is. Oh, there we go. Now he's going for the brown stuff. Oh no, there's still a few green bits of grass in there. Shame. Hosana, if you just go a little bit south, you can get some lessons on how to graze from the buffalo. Because it looks like you need a bit of help. So we'll just watch him. Maybe he isn't feeling too well today, and if he shows us that he's unhappy with us at some point, which is obviously, no, Hosana never does that, then we know we must just give him a little bit of a break. If you get a sick note from the doctor, Hosana, you can get a couple of days off. They even email them to you these days. I'm trying to make Emma laugh as much as I can today. It's not working too well, but I got a giggle now. Bridget, not necessarily parasites. I think, you know, maybe if he's eaten something that wasn't so great and he didn't, you know, it's upset his stomach a little bit, it could induce vomiting. He might have a hairball that's causing a bit of discomfort that he's going to try and get rid of. So not necessarily parasites. I don't know how clued up leopards are in terms of the medicinal plants and things like that. And elephants and rhinos and things like that should have a better idea. Yes. Hosana, have you not been listening to a word Steve has said on Medicinal Mondays? How disappointing. Sorry, Steve. I mean, he is young. He gets distracted. He's having a little sniff now. You can't be feeling too under the weather. He's just undecided whether he's going to go into the drainage line or if he's going to go have a drink of water at Gallagher Pan. Right, now, I believe Jamie is actually not too far away from where we are. Hosana is kind of walking in your direction. You better be careful. Let's bounce back onto Jamie's car.
I'm a little bit concerned that Hosana might come wandering into these lions. He might be distracted by his slightly upset stomach. He'll be fine, though. He's so alert. Sorry, I'm distracted by the woodhoopoe that has come and joined the party. Oh, no, don't. Oh. It was such a nice view as well. Oh, well. It's gone now. I was going to add another bird to some of our newer viewers' bird lists. But the woodhoopoes flew away. It was them cackling off in the distance. I don't think Hosana will be taken by surprise by these lions, but he'd better be careful. They're not going to be in the best of moods, as hungry as they are. That's one thing that he's proved that he can do, though. He has more than proved his survival instincts out here in the wild. Ah, the Nkuhumas have broken my heart. Ali, lions don't necessarily have a favorite type of food. However, they will choose prey depending upon the size of the pride and how many lions there are around. So one lioness will happily go for an impala. Two lionesses will go for something larger like a kudu. This particular pride of lions seems to be expert at hunting buffalo, but it makes sense because there's also a lot more of them. and a lot more mouths to feed. And of course, because hunting buffalo is such a dangerous task for any predator, lions included, even though they are the biggest of the big cats, they still need that, ideally they need that advantage of numbers. But they do go for buffalo regularly. I mean, if we were to say, I don't think it's because it's their favorite food. I think it's because it makes the most sense for them to try and hunt buffalo out here. They don't get the great bounty of the migration in the same way the lions of the Mara do. The lions seem to be quite reluctant to hunt buffalo there. They do, but not nearly as frequently as the lions do here. I don't know if I would call it their favorite food, though. I don't think it's a taste preference. As soon as you throw a male lion into the mix as well, statistically the lions are more likely to go for larger prey. Buffalo, giraffe, anything like that. And as soon as you've got more than 3 or 4 mouths to feed, it becomes imperative to utilize the energy to take down something as big as possible, if the circumstances allow. That one's got such a pokey stick in its back. It looks so uncomfortable. You're talking about how coarse the lion's fur is. They're quite happy to go and lie down on a thorny patch, on a branch, on a rock. I mean, that looks really uncomfortable. Okay, we're just going to have to shuffle around a little bit. There's another vehicle wanting to make their way in. I'm just going to move up for them. Give me one moment. Let me just make some space. Okay, while I shuffle around, I think that Hosanna has given Taylor McCurdy the slip, but let's go to her and find out where she plans to go from here.
Well, he's on his way straight towards you, so I thought I better not come crashing on in there, because I'll just disturb the sighting. And I also want to give Hosanna the best chance of spotting those lions before he goes walking into trouble. So I thought I will leave him. But it's virtually impossible to navigate through there. I cannot tell you how thick it is, and there's drainage line after drainage line. So yeah, so we'll go looking for other things. What other things have I found? I just saw some footprints on the ground. Hyena from this morning. They're very windblown. So that's what those were. We shall carry on. Oh, we saw a snake today. I didn't even tell you about the snake. I'm also going to show you something else. So we were driving towards Chitwa. I haven't looked at what snake it was again. I think it might have been one of the grass snakes. Just quickly, which was quite nice. And then there's actually something that I want to show you. But now I've got to try to find it. Ha! Look at this cool thing that I got. How amazing. Let's try to swivel it around really slowly, like one of those. Oh no, tipped it sideways, sorry. Also my hands are, oh, wow, fail. Absolute fail. Sorry, I can put it there on the dashboard if you want to look at it. So awkward. Anyways, that is a shark tooth from a ragged tooth shark. How cool. And it's pretty amazing. So I'm going to add it to my necklace. Let me see if I can take it off. I also know that I'm going to stab myself in the neck with this. So kids, I wouldn't wear sharp things around your neck. Don't be silly like me. But I'm going to lose this thing as well, so I better be. Let me do that quickly. I don't know how I'm going to get this on again. Oh no. Always the mic cable. I've also taken my earpiece out. Oh well. Okay. Let me add it to the variety of things that I already have. Sorry, Seb, I'm going to try not get in your way. I'm trying to think. I should probably have it that way so that it doesn't stab me. Okay. It's going to stab me, but it'll be worth it. Now, this is the tricky part. If MS is linked, please let me know, just in case. Sorry, my earpiece has come out and I've committed now. Right, you're just watching my crown crane hair. So James calls me a crowned crane. I think it was James, or was it Tristan? Someone. Lois said my nails are so dirty. Because I was fiddling with the car. I can't get it on! What am I going to do? This is disastrous.
I'm not having a...
Sebastian won't help me. Wait, let me look.
you're almost...
I'm looking at the monitor. I'm too close. Ah!
Yeah, no? Okay, Matthew.
Please help me. Oh look, there's my other tattoo that none of you have seen. Thank you, Sebastian. Now leaning forward. Those are Seb's hands, because I cannot
Seb's
put...
face.
There's Seb. Hi, Seb. Thanks, Seb. See, even Sebastian's struggling. It was not easy, hey? Do you need me to go lean more?
Oh,
Goodness. See, not only do we do safaris, we show you how to put on jewelry. Are you ready?
it's over your mic cable.
Is it over my mic cable?
Yeah, it's over the mic cable.
We'll fix that just now. Where's my earpiece? I'll have to undo my mic cable, but I won't do that now. I'll do that just now. Thank you very much, sir.
First, what it looks like on the front, or...
Oh, you want to see? I'm going to probably... Necklace making. Where do I put it? Just put it on my shirt.
Yeah, there we go.
Can you see it? There are all the things. There's Africa. There's all the things.
Nice.
Now the shark tooth. That's pretty cool, and I'm terrified of sharks. Maybe this will give me shark strength. I don't know if it works like that, but I'd like to have shark strength. Ah, Constance Trishala gave it to me. So yeah, we all were looking at shark teeth, and then I chose this one, and then Louise chose a different type of a tooth, but I thought that one had like lots of little serrated edges, and I thought I'm probably going to end up cutting it against my neck, so I decided not to. There's a couple of eddies, but they're so far into the thicket it's not that nice. We're going to just carry on. We'll go check down towards Impala Plains and see what's happening there. So yeah, I'm not actually sure where it came from, but I'm pretty sure it would have been a skeleton that washed up on the beach, probably. If you're a marine biologist, then it's like, not that I find lion teeth anyway. I don't think I've ever found any predator tooth, have I? You find bits of ivory here and there that chip off from elephants. But other than that, lots of skulls and things, but not normally lucky enough to find predator skulls. But that would be cool to see though. And we've got a few in the tent. Some of them are just replicas, they're not the actual skulls, but it's still a nice idea anyways to get an idea how big that head is, how big the teeth are. For me, the Chakma baboon canines are just unbelievably enormous. They're so huge, so I wouldn't have one of those on my neck though, but I thought that was quite cool. It kind of goes with my ocean theme of the necklace, don't you think? Yeah. Anyways, so I think from here we'll probably go down towards Impala Plains, so we'll go back around, and then we'll just keep listening out. If Osana comes back out and moves away, then we'll head back there. Otherwise, you're going to spend the rest of the afternoon with Miss Patterson.
I have absolutely no idea what Emma just said to me, and I sincerely apologize. I know I'm live, I got that part, but for some reason my ability to hear has become incredibly distorted. Ah, there we go. There we go. Okay, now I can hear Emma clearly. I was going to say, if I'm not responding to your questions, that's why. Apparently Taylor says she might not find anything. I don't think that's the case at all. I imagine that Taylor will find something. There's plenty to look at out here. It doesn't necessarily have to be a big cat. But we're going to stay with our big cat. We've invested so much of our sunset safari already in the Nkuhumas, and we're not going to go anywhere. It's also such a pleasure to see them because they've been around and about. I know that sightings of them haven't been that regular. It's nice to catch up with them and spend some time with them. I know I promised to go to the hyena den, but unfortunately I think that's going to have to wait until tomorrow morning. Very difficult to make a plan out here, because we never know what is going to be thrown at us next. that branch. I thought I'd managed to tuck it away, but I think I put myself in the wrong place. Oh, Puma, you want to know, well, you've observed that lions' whiskers seem to be shorter than leopards' whiskers, and you want to know if that's true. Yes, I think it is true. Oh, a little bit of a shock there for a moment. One of them just looked up very suddenly. Yes, I think it is true, but it's not a massive difference. When we're looking at them now in the low light, it's actually quite hard to see, but lions do have... They have whiskers that you can't see the darker tips of. But they are definitely shorter than those of leopards. So that is very well observed. Oh, flop. Exhaustion. We live in hope that our lions will jump up at any moment and lead us off on the hunt while we wait. Let's go see what eyes Steve has spotted.
Some very eerie looking eyes looking out of the long grass. It's got a pair of very big ears on the top of the head. You can see it moving now. There's either a genet or a serval. Can't really tell. It's one of the two. I have seen serval here before. We have seen a genet. I don't know which one it is though. He's got to duck down again. He's being very shy. I spotted him with the spotlight on the way past, and unfortunately that's as better view as we're going to get. Well, we thought we'd show you nonetheless, doing our part up here in the darkness. You could see how close together the eyes were and how brightly they shone. That is very characteristic of a predator. Very bright eyes. They don't really twinkle like a lot of your smaller herbivores will. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. And also the herbivore animals, their eyes are kind of more to the side. But what we saw on our way out after the Kenya is I spotted something flat on the grass. The grass is very short, and we saw the smallest little gazelle. It's about this big. It was flat, the ears flat, and Kenya had probably walked right past it. It was too cute. You almost wanted to just grab it and take it home, but we left it there because that's what they do. One of the strategies they have for protecting themselves against a cheetah, because the gazelle can't run that fast when it's so small, so it just lies flat. The grass was like this tall, and it was like flat, and if it wasn't for the eye shine I wouldn't have seen it. It was lay there, ears sprawled on the side of its body. It was just the cutest thing I've ever seen. Oh, anyway, a lot of people are renowned for actually taking those sort of animals home because they think, poor animal, it's on its own. But that's actually mum's strategy, is to hide it in the long grass. Aqua, what a beautiful natural soundtrack. I don't get the comment, I'm afraid, Emma. Soundtrack. Anyway, we're moving on. Oh, you could hear the bush in the background. Okay, very nice. There was some swamp nightjars calling again, and a few beetles and bugs. It's a lot fresher up here than it is down in Djuma. There's almost no sort of insect life down there. Well, maybe after the rain they've had, I'm not sure if it's changed, but I'm sure they're still desperate. Whereas here there's crickets and all sorts of things calling themselves. Very nice, peaceful. It should change in the day, so you're expecting some rain in the south. I think it's about time they get some rain. My birthday is at the end of this month, and it always rains on my birthday in South Africa. Always rains. That's all right, I'm used to it. Late October, it's always rainy. Well, maybe not always. Not everywhere in the country, but generally it rains on my birthday. So we'll be expecting it again. Paula, I don't actually have a favorite area. I'm enjoying all of them. They're so different. Hanging along the Mara River is really, really nice with the abundance of animals trying to sort of get towards the crossing. The marsh area is quite different in the fact that there's loads of different animals there. It's very green. It's very swampy and marshy. There's buffalo all the way through to elephant and warthog. Quite a pasture with and rhino there. But then going along the escarpment, just here, along towards the south, quite nice, the sort of the mountain on the right-hand side. What is that? There's a big eye sitting on the ground there. The escarpment on the side and the plains to the left. But then going further south, well, we haven't gone too far south yet, so I can't really say. But where we were now with Kekenya was really awesome. There's not too much sort of diversity in it. Ooh, lions, yes! We got some lions. So who are these guys? We can go off right here, can't we? Yes, we can. Okay, well, we wanted to find you lions. There's actually a road right here. Look at that. Looks like 2 at the moment. This place is just crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. There are animals everywhere. And you just have to shine your spotlight to catch them. Okay, at least 2. 1 young male and a female to the right. It looks like they've been here for some time because there's some vehicle tracks on the way in. You just turn off my lights there for you. Actually looks like 2. Let's just get a bit closer before we try and identify sex here. Get James in a nice position. Yeah, they look like 2 really young males. Yay, Chris. Always nice to find lions. And these look like young males. Just the brief look I had a moment ago. A little bit of thickness on the neck. A little bit of fur there. Who they are, though, for the moment, I couldn't tell you. But all I saw as well was just that really bright eye on the ground. And, well, that definitely wasn't a herbivore. Here's the one, and here's the other one. So we're having a little bit of a difficult time with our IR light. There's the other one. And they look like quite young males, the age of, sorry about the flickering, the age of about sort of 2. There's that sort of mane development is kind of happening, giving them kind of a strange looking appearance around the neck and the top of the head, not that sort of beautiful sleek line that you find with the females. Sorry about the lights, folks. I'm not quite sure what's happening there. Okay, well, so we're going to stay with these 2 cats and see what they get up to for the next little while. In the meantime, Jamie is still with Oklahoma Pride.
I don't know how many times I can possibly say this afternoon before you stop believing me, but I really think these lions are going to get up soon. Is a definite sign that they are starting to wake up. You will notice that there is a light coming from another vehicle. That's obviously because as it gets dark, they will be using a spotlight. It's absolutely fine for now. Obviously, once they start hunting, then it will not be utilized. But for now, it helps to illuminate them so that they can see them properly. Having a proper grooming session. Look at the cub back there again. That same comfort mechanism. Although that, I don't even think that's an adult. I think that's another one of the youngsters. Oh, perhaps just grooming. It is. It's not one of the mothers, it's one of the little ones. Oh. A little bit of grumpiness from one of the lionesses. I noticed her snap at one of the others earlier. When they went to go say hello to her, she sort of just bared her teeth and snapped at them. So perhaps she's feeling the effects of the hunger more than the rest. Lots of soft growls, almost a sort of a a purring sound. Lions, of course, don't purr, but they make a contented, deep, almost a growl when they're happy. You can hear them softly contact calling to each other as well. Bless you. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to ask Dave to help me out. I know Emma's sent me a question, but I have no idea. Henk. Okay, so Henk would like to know which of the big cats has